Okay, big debate, salt versus chlorine tabs. Which is actually better? If you want to start an argument in the swimming pool group, there are a few subjects that work every time. Ask whether your pool return should point up or down, or ask whether phosphates matter, or walk into a room full of pool owners and say, I think chlorine tabs are better than salt. Then back away slowly. Because apparently choosing a chlorination system has become a little like choosing a political party. People don't just own salt pools, they identify as salt pool owners. And tablet people aren't much better. So today we're settling it. Salt versus chlorine tablets. Which one is actually better? And I have some bad news. I'm probably going to irritate both sides. Because after over 30 years in the swimming pool business and managing a whole lot of both, I'm about 50-50. I like salt. I like tablets. And I think a properly managed salt pool can be every bit as good as a properly managed tablet pool. But there are absolutely pools where I would choose one over the other. And by the end of this video, I'll tell you what could make me say, do not put salt in this pool. I'm also going to address something I hear constantly. Pool companies don't like salt systems because they make more money selling chlorine. As a pool company owner who has operated retail stores and sold both, I've got some bad news for the conspiracy theory. It's pretty much backwards. So let's jump into the deep end. First, salt pools are chlorine pools. We need to get this out of the way. People ask me all the time, Frank, should I get a salt pool or a chlorine pool? Well, yes. Because a salt pool is a chlorine pool. There aren't tiny sanitation fairies inside that salt cell sprinkling magical ocean dust into your water. The salt system makes chlorine. That's its entire job. You dissolve salt into the pool water, that water passes through the electrolytic cell, electricity is applied, and the system generates chlorine. So this isn't really salt versus chlorine. It's salt-generated chlorine versus tablet-fed chlorine. We're deciding how we're going to deliver chlorine to the pool, and both systems can do that extremely well. What I love about salt. Let's start by making the salt crowd happy. I really like salt chlorine generators. When they're properly sized, properly programmed, and properly maintained, they give me something I absolutely love. A slow, consistent feed of chlorine. Instead of waiting for chlorine to fall and then dumping a bunch more into the pool, the cell is producing relatively small amounts while the system operates. That's fantastic. One of my basic philosophies of pool care is don't let algae get started. I'm not interested in seeing how low I can let chlorine get before something grows. I want a residual. And a properly operated salt system can give me a very consistent one on many pools. Plus, I'm not continually adding stabilized chlorine to get it, which brings us to one of salt's biggest advantages. Salt doesn't continually increase CYA while it's producing chlorine. That's a big deal because CYA is the Achilles heel of trichlor tabs. Now I'll make the tablet crowd happy. But tabs do something really well too. You know what a properly adjusted tablet feeder gives me? A slow, consistent feed of chlorine. Sound familiar? That's because both systems are trying to accomplish essentially the same thing. Salt does it with electricity and an electrolytic cell, and tabs do it by slowly dissolving trichlor. And a tablet feeder is wonderfully stupid. I mean, that's a compliment. No circuit board, no flow switch, no salt sensor, no expensive coated electrodes, no blinking light telling me something is wrong while refusing to explain exactly what something is. It's basically a plastic container with some plumbing attached to it. Put tablets in it, water goes through it, chlorine comes out. Sometimes stupid is beautiful. But here comes the tab problem. Every time that trichlor tablets dissolves, I'm not just getting chlorine. I'm also getting cyanuric acid. CYA stabilizer, and CYA accumulates. This is where tablet pools get themselves into trouble. Actually, let me correct that. This is where people get tablet pools into trouble. Tabs don't overstabilize pools, people do. Because the tablet didn't sneak into your backyard at midnight and climb into the chlorinator by itself. Someone keeps putting them in there all summer, then fall, then winter. Then spring, CYA hits 80. They keep feeding tablets, 100, more tablets, 150. Frank, I don't understand why my pool keeps getting algae. I've got chlorine. Yeah, you do. And you also probably have enough CYA in your pool to protect every swimming pool on your block. Tabs require management. I don't think runaway CYA is inevitable with trichlor. I think it's inevitable with badly managed trichlor. We monitor CYA. We don't expect tablets to supply every molecule of chlorine the pool needs forever. We supplement other types of chlorine when necessary. And here in North Texas, when the water temperatures drop below roughly 70 degrees, we generally stop using tablets. Chlorine demand has dropped dramatically. So why would I keep adding stabilizer when I don't need to? During the cooler months, we get rain, overflow, backwashing, splash out during the summer, normal water replacement. CYA gradually comes down. Then we reevaluate going into the next season. Using our management methods, partially draining strictly because the CYA is not something we're constantly doing. Do we sometimes have to do it? Absolutely. But we have properly managed pools that may go 3 to 5 years before CYA makes meaningful partial water replacement necessary. That's very different from fused tablets you have to drain your pool every year. No, only if badly managed. If you blindly feed tablets indefinitely, you've created that problem yourself. The chlorine number matters too. Another reason pools get into trouble is because people talk about free chlorine as though there's one magic number. Keep your chlorine at 2. Okay, what's the CYA? Because I care about the relationship. In our management program, we're generally targeting free chlorine just above approximately 7.5% of the CYA level. That's for salt and tab pools. As CYA goes up, my chlorine requirement goes up. That's extremely important. And it leads to one of my concerns with some salt pools. Salt can have a production problem. A salt chlorine generator can only make so much chlorine. Every cell has a maximum output. It's a chlorine factory, but it's not a chlorine factory with unlimited overtime. If someone operates a salt pool with relatively high CYA, and I'm trying to maintain my free chlorine relative to that CYA, now I may be asking that cell to maintain a fairly significant chlorine residual. Add North Texas summer. 100-degree weather, brutal sunlight, kids, dogs, pool parties, rain, organic debris, crepe myrtles. And sometimes the salt cell simply can't keep up, especially if it's undersized, which many are. Or the pump isn't running enough, or the homeowner has the output turned down. That's when I supplement other forms of chlorine. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with supplementing a salt pool. But I do find it funny when someone tells me I switched to salt so I don't have to use chlorine anymore. Meanwhile, I'm standing there pouring chlorine into their salt pool. We have now come full circle. Now we get to my biggest salt headache, pH. North Texas pool water already loves to make me chase pH. We've got waterfalls, bubblers, spa spillovers, deck jets, returns disturbing the surface. Basically, we've designed pools with 17 different ways to aerate the water. Then we're shocked when the pH rises. Salt systems add another component to that equation. Electrolysis produces hydrogen gas. Those bubbles contribute to aeration. Aeration accelerates carbon dioxide leaving the water. As CO2 leaves the water, pH rises. So salt pools frequently have me reaching for muriatic acid. Again and again and again, and in much larger doses than I do on tab pools. Meanwhile, trichlor is a little acidic. And in North Texas, that can actually work in my favor. Now, don't run to Facebook and post, Deep in Frank says acidic water is good. No, that's not what I said. Trichlor can absolutely drive alkalinity downward if you don't manage it. That's its side of the compromise. But in water that naturally wants to climb in pH, an acidic sanitizer isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes the chemistry is helping me instead of fighting me. And this is where borates enter the fight. If you've watched much of my stuff, you probably knew borates were eventually going to show up. They're like that friend that somehow shows up at every party. I like borates in both of these pools, typically around 40 to 50 parts per million in the way we manage pools. But I especially appreciate borates in salt pools. Why? Because borates add buffering that helps the water resist upward pH movement. Notice I said resist, not stop. The pH can still rise, but borates can make that climb slower and more manageable. And that's valuable to me. Borates also provide some algistatic benefit. They're not a sanitizer, they don't replace chlorine, but they can make the environment less favorable for algae, which helps our chlorine program. So when we're comparing salt versus tabs, I like both better with borates. But borates specifically reduce one of my biggest complaints about salt. Salt plus borates is considerably more attractive to me than salt without borates. Actually, borates are my first recommendation before converting to salt. This is something we do that surprises people. Someone with a tablet pool comes into one of our stores and says, "Frank, I want to convert my pool to salt." My response is usually, try borates for one season first. I'm not trying to talk them out of buying a salt system. Actually, as I'll explain in a minute, financially, I'd probably be better off if they bought one. I want them to understand what they're trying to accomplish. A lot of homeowners tell me they want salt because they want that softer, more pleasant water feel. Borates can produce a noticeably different water feel too. They can also help make the chemistry more forgiving and provide some additional resistance to algae. So let's put borates in the existing tablet pool. Let's properly manage the chlorine and CYA. Let's go through one swim season, then ask, do you still want salt? If the answer is yes, great, I'll happily install it. And you know what I'm going to recommend keeping in the pool after we convert it? The borates, because I like them with salt too, maybe even more. But neither system gets you out of actually managing the pool. This might be the most important part of this entire video. A salt system doesn't eliminate pool chemistry. A tablet feeder doesn't eliminate pool chemistry. Neither system manages the pool for you. You still have to test. You still have to calculate. You still have to dose. You still have to maintain the proper sanitizer residual. You still have to manage CYA. You still have to manage pH. You still have to manage alkalinity. You still have to manage calcium hardness. You still have to manage water balance. And you still need circulation, filtration, brushing, and debris removal. A salt cell is not an artificially intelligent pool boy. And a tablet floating around in a chlorinator doesn't have a chemistry degree. Either system can become extremely problematic when it's poorly managed. A neglected tablet pool can become a high CYA nightmare. A neglected salt pool can have a high pH, scaling, inadequate chlorine, a scaled cell, and algae growing while the control panel happily tells you everything is fine. The equipment doesn't replace the operator. Salt versus tabs matters a whole lot less than good management versus bad management. That's probably the biggest point of this entire discussion. Salt comes with equipment. Now let's talk maintenance. Salt systems are frequently sold as lower maintenance. Maybe, but let's define maintenance, because salt automates chlorine production. It does not automate pool ownership. And now you've added another piece of equipment: a salt cell, a flow switch, a control board, sensors, electrical components. And we repair plenty of them. We see failed flow switches, bad control boards, sensor problems, and salt cells that die earlier than the homeowner expected. Salt cells don't live forever. In our experience, a typical salt cell often needs a replacement somewhere around 3 to 5 years. Some last longer. Some apparently decide retirement sounds good at about 2.5. A replacement cell in many of the systems we're dealing with can run roughly around $1,000 to $1,400. And installing a complete salt system on a typical approximately 20,000 gallon pool may run roughly $1,500 to $2,400. Then you've got cell maintenance. In our area, we're commonly inspecting and, when actually necessary, cleaning cells roughly twice a year. And I want to emphasize, don't acid clean a salt cell just because you own acid. Clean it when it needs cleaning. Repeated unnecessary acid cleaning can shorten the life of those coated plates. We want the calcium scale off. We don't want the expensive coating going with it. Pool guys don't like salt because they make money selling tabs. Okay, let's kill this one. I hear pool owners say some version of this all the time. Pool companies don't want you to switch to salt because then they won't make money selling your chlorine tablets. I own pool retail stores. I've sold chlorine tablets. I've sold salt systems. I've sold replacement salt cells. I've sold salt. I've sold acid. I've repaired salt systems. And if my only motivation were how do I make the most money from this customer, I'd probably try to sell a salt system to everyone every time. Think about it. Chlorine tablets are generally a relatively low margin product for a retailer. A lot of times it's a loss leader, and that revenue is spread out over time. You buy some tablets, then later you buy some more tablets. Then eventually you come back again. A salt conversion? That's roughly $1,500 to $2,400 equipment sale and installation up front. Generally with a better margin opportunity than selling buckets of tablets. Then eventually there's a replacement sale, potentially $1,000 to $1,400. And if something fails, control board, flow switch, sensor, Service call, repairs, the salt itself, all the extra acid. You're not going to finance your retirement selling 40-pound bags of pool salt. But you know what I generally sell more of to salt pool owners? Acid and bicarb, because we're managing that upward pH tendency. So if you think the pool industry is secretly protecting its massive chlorine tablet fortune by refusing to sell salt systems, I hate to run a good conspiracy theory. My business bottom line would probably prefer that you buy salt systems. But that's not how I make the recommendation. I don't want to sell you the product that makes me the most money. I want to explain the advantages and disadvantages of both systems and let you make an educated decision about your pool. If salt makes sense, I'll recommend salt. If tabs make more sense, I'll recommend tabs. And sometimes the answer is either one will work beautifully. Pick the one you prefer. Does salt system save the homeowner money? This is another favorite internet argument. Salt pays for itself. Maybe. Eventually. Based on the equipment costs, cell life, and maintenance we actually see, I think you're frequently looking at something like 5 to 8 years minimum before the financial argument becomes particularly interesting. Maybe longer, maybe shorter, tablet prices change. Salt equipment prices change. Have you seen all the increases on salt systems over the last year? It's just going to get worse. Chemical consumption changes. And one failed control board can suddenly move your break-even point several years down the road. So personally, I don't consider ROI a great reason to buy salt. If you want salt because you like the consistent chlorine generation, great reason. If you want less independence on tablets and don't want chlorine production continually increasing CYA, great reason. If you're spending $2,000 because somebody promised it'll save you a fortune, I wouldn't make that decision based on that. Now here's what can completely change my answer. We've finally arrived at my biggest concern with salt, and strangely enough, it isn't water chemistry. It's what's outside the water. Stone, concrete, mortar, coping. Some of these materials are porous. Salt water gets splashed onto them. Water works its way into the pores and tiny little capillaries going through that stone. Then the water evaporates. The salt doesn't evaporate. It remains behind and crystallizes. Crystal growth inside confined pores and capillaries can create great pressure against the surrounding material. Repeat that wet and dry cycle thousands of times, and susceptible materials can deteriorate pretty quick. I've seen it. That doesn't mean salt destroys concrete. That's too simplistic. Different materials behave differently. Porosity matters, stone type matters, construction quality matters, drainage matters, exposure matters, sealing matters. How frequently the material gets wet matters. But if you show me the pool surrounded by a lot of susceptible porous natural stone or concrete, my 50-50 decision starts moving towards tablets quickly. Because now I'm not comparing chlorine systems anymore. I'm considering the long-term cost of the materials surrounding the pool. And replacing a salt cell is one thing. Replacing deteriorated stone around the swimming pool, that's a completely different conversation. So which one wins? If you've been waiting for me to declare a winner, here it is. Neither. I know, very disappointing. A properly managed salt pool, I love it. A properly managed tablet pool, I love it. Both can give me consistent chlorine delivery. Both systems have their advantages, both systems have their disadvantages. Maybe you prefer neither. Maybe you like liquid chlorine. Post your comments. If you've had both, tell me which one you like best. Every pool is different, every region is different. What works for you may not work for your neighbor, or definitely may not work for somebody halfway across the country. They're both good systems, both usable in the right situation. Appreciate y'all listening. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see y'all in the next video.